This is the SCX24 Budget Build Parts Edition. A very common question that I get asked about SCX24 builds is whether it's more economical to start with a complete parts build from the ground up using aftermarket parts, or to buy a new SCX24 and build on it from there. Typically I do the latter, and I give myself a budget, an all-in budget of about $250. But in this video, I'm going to see if I can answer the question of the former and determine if it's more economical to build an SCX24 from scratch. Now, I did my best to stick to the $250 budget, but let me tell you, it was difficult, and I think the results of this are going to surprise you. So let's jump in. I'm going to go over the list of parts that I got for this build, then we'll put it together. I'll show you the finished product, and then we'll run it to see how it does. All right, here's our pile of parts here. We're going to assemble all of this into a ground-up build. I did my best to stay as close to that as possible, but as you'll see, I exceeded it a little bit. But let's get into this. So let's start from right to left, my right to left. So for the chassis kit, I went with the Mias Racing, the MB24. This is a great kit. It's a comprehensive kit. I chose this as the most economical option because you get a body and you get the full chassis kit. So you get a nice set of carbon fiber rails, you get the nylon tubular chassis, and the body that is unpainted. You can get the painted version for a little bit more money, but I was trying to save as much as I could, so we'll probably paint this at a later date. At around 32 bucks, $34, something like that. Huge bang for the buck here. I'm going to group the electronics and the motor. We'll do that right now. So to power this thing, again, trying to keep the cost low, I'm going to go with a brushed motor setup. I've got the Mofo RC Torque Beast in 50 sized here. I'm going to run that with the Endura MB100 brushed ESC. Now I'm also going to use my Radio Link radio. So I bought an extra receiver for that. If you don't have your own radio, you can pick one up. Little Guy Racing Parts makes a great one for $30. Endura has a couple real budget-friendly ones. Dumbo RC, there's a number of radios out there you can get for right around 30 bucks. Picked up a assembled axial SCX24 transmission. Got this on Amazon. I think it was around 15 bucks. Axial SCX24 assortment of drive shafts. I think this was $7. We're going to need a skid plate to go with this chassis. It does not include one. Just grabbed a generic aluminum skid plate. Tires and wheels now. These are Endura aluminum beadlocks. Now I did score these on clearance a while back. I got these for 11 bucks. Normally they'd be around 24, 25, I think. We're going to wrap those in the Little Guy Racing Parts black label tires. Excellent tires, around $16.99 for those, I believe. But you can use my discount code to save 10% on those. For axles, now we splurged on axles because I think it's worth it. So I went with the Mofo RC X15 axles. The nylon versions of these are around $90 complete. Now this comes with the servo mount, comes with your steering linkage, gears, hexes, wheel nuts, everything. So these are a good complete option, extremely strong, scale looking, going to give us some good track width here as well. I did splurge too, and I spent an extra $20 on the heavy brass knuckles for these to bring some weight towards the front. Shocks, grab some RC Lions 43mm double barrels, Old Faithful there. For linkage, now the linkage combination here, the MB24 is built around a C10 wheelbase. But what I'm going to do is stretch it in the rear. So I've got C10 front links and I've got deadbolt rear. Now to do this, you can do a couple different things. You can buy 2 sets of these aluminum links, which would be about 32 bucks all in. In some places you can buy the links individually in kind of like a builder's kit. Mofo RC sells these. I believe Endura does as well. And finally, this is a budget build, so we went with Old Faithful here, the Emax for our budget servo. I got a 4-pack of these, which worked out to about $10 each. If you were to buy one servo, I think it's 12 or 15 bucks. So all in, I think I was a little over 300 bucks. And I tried really hard to trim that down as much as I could. I did splurge on the axles and things like that, so if you really wanted to keep it super, super tight, you could go with stock housings and things like that. But it was really challenging to put all of this in a $250 budget. But in any case, I think for the extra performance we're going to get out of this setup, I think the extra 50 bucks is going to be money well spent. So here's the parts pile. Now I'm going to start assembling this thing. And we're going to see this jumble of parts turn into a fully functioning rig. just like that. All right, my friends, here is the complete build. This is what that pile of parts turned into. I gotta say, I am obsessed with the look of this truck. I really love how it came out. Few things to note here. I decided to paint the body. I had some spare metallic purple paint lying around, and I felt like that would go really good with the orange, and it most certainly does. So I just did a blast of purple on this, and I put the Mies Racing decals on it that come with the kit. And this is how she came out. So at least visually, this is a big step up from the SCX24 budget build approach that we took. Underneath this thing, the Mies Racing chassis, this is a bit of a challenge just because of how this thing is laid out. The MB100 ESC, the way this works, it sits in the back here and kind of pops up behind the guys in the interior. But you got to stand that up to fit back there. It's working okay. I'll probably adjust this a little later on. Got some Velcro on this slider. I'm going to put my battery there. And I have my radio link receiver right here. I haven't tuned the suspension at all. I just kind of threw it together. I'm anxious to get this video out. In the front, what I did too is take a rubber band to make a limiting strap for this. These double barrel shocks were dropping pretty far. So just looped it around the servo and up around the towers to control that drop. But overall, really easy installation. This kit goes together really well. We got pretty premium parts, so everything went together super nice. I'm anxious to try it. So we'll hit the setup table to do some initial measurements. We'll check out the weight distribution, vertical, side hill, all that good stuff. Then we'll hit the course and see how this thing performs. Here is our weight distribution on the 4-corner scales. We've got a 56% front, 44% rear. Left to right bias is pretty solid. 51 to the right. This is with the battery on the slider. Total weight of about 412 grams. Let's get into our performance test here. We'll do the side hill first. There's 40. Starting to lean. 50. 51 on the side hill. Now let's do the vertical. 40, 50, 60, 65, starting to lift. Oh, 67 on the vertical. On the indoor course with the new build, I'm excited for this. This thing put up good numbers on the setup table. Let's see how it does in practice. That Torque Beast motor is still jumpy, jumpier than I would like. I was hoping with the MB100 ESC it would smooth that thing out. Once it gets going, it's good, but off the line, it's just really twitchy. God, this thing's a stunner. I love the look of this thing. This MB24 kit is such a good looking build. Noticing with the wheelbase that we got here, I'm getting high centered pretty often. I was playing with this a little bit before I recorded outdoors on the rocks, so that stretch wheelbase seems to be just enough to get this thing hung up, but we're making it work. Good crawl up the canyon. These mofo axles, it has the 50% gear reduction, so it's got great slow crawl here by virtue of the gears too. Coming into the usual challenge lines. Now we'll see how this thing does compared to some of our other builds. A quick work through the gatekeeper on the escalator. Smooth, nice and easy. Up the escalator at the end there, nice. Let's check out some side hill. Gonna go across the chute. Oh, okay, unsettled there. I'm already doing a Jeep wave. Oh, dumped it. Try one more time. I'm really surprised to see it get upset on the side hill there. I thought we put up decent numbers on the setup table. Oh, we made it further that time. Still lost it though. Let's try Hell's Gate. Understeered off my line there a little bit, but I think we'll be able to recover no problem. Try one more time. Different angle here. Oh yeah, smoked it that time. I have to go back and watch my other budget build videos, but I mean, anecdotally, I think this thing performs really, really well. As it should, because of the quality components and things that we've put on it. It's got a severe advantage over the budget builds that we've done just because of the upgraded parts that we were able to incorporate in this thing. Definitely does a great job through that section. We'll come around, hit the canyon one more time, then we'll go hit the rocks just for a little bit outside. Shorter time this weekend, so we'll just hit the backyard, but we'll see how it does. Get a little whine from that torque beast. That thing's loud too, but this works very good. That was a nice clean line to cap this off. Nice. On the outdoor course with the new build, let's check it out. I'm expecting good performance out of this thing with the wheelbase. I think this thing is going to be a killer. So getting the hang of this torque beast motor, it hits really hard. Even with the MB100 ESC, a little twitchy out here. Once you get going though, it's great. With the straight axles on here, we should still have some good ground clearance with those big tires. See how it does through the course here. Got some wires hanging out there. I'll have to fix that. Nice and smooth through there. It's great approach angle on this. Super grip right there. Very nice. Should get through here. There we go. Go through the course one more time in a different direction. I like it. I think it came out really good. All right, let's talk about this build. I'm really happy with how this thing came out. I love the MB24 kit. The aesthetic appeal of this thing is great, combined with the orange wheels, the Little Guy Racing Parts tires. Everything works together really, really well. So I totally dig this build. This was a tricky project though, because I found when I was pricing this thing out and putting it together, it was really, really challenging to stick to that $250 budget. Let's recap our budget real quick before we get too deep into this. So utilizing my discounts, which are all available to you guys too in the links down below, and capitalizing on some Prime Day sales and some Endura clearance sales, I was able to get this thing built for just over $308. Now, that's a big departure from our typical $250 budget, but it was really challenging to stick to that. I think I could have done it though, and I think you can build a ground up build for $250, but what you're going to end up with, I think, is just going to leave you really wanting more. So as I was going through and buying things, I kept running into the scenario where it was, for just $10 more, you could get these upgraded axles. For $5 more, you could get these upgraded links. Really like death by 1,000 cuts here, but the end result, you get a much superior build. It's got quality components all throughout. Whereas if you'd stuck to the $250 budget, you would have performance that would leave you wanting more, I think, and you'd end up spending more money very quickly to alleviate some of the issues that you'd run into. For example, with the axles, the Mofo axles are one of the biggest expenses on this build. You can buy a complete set of front and rear SCX24 axles for around $50-ish. But then you're going to want to do the brass knuckles, you're going to do the diff cover, all of that brass add-on. You're going to add $30 to $40 in brass upgrades. So that's when I figured, for about $105 using my discount, I could get the Mofo axles. Now that's just one example, but I ran into that with almost every single part on this build, is that for a little bit more money, you could get a vastly superior product, and that's what ultimately ended up pushing up the cost. But the end result, you've got a really well-balanced, well-put-together truck that's going to be far superior than a $250 budget build rig would be. So while I blew the budget, couldn't stick to the $250, I think for around $300 to get a rig like this is money well spent. And to get back to the initial question that we sought to answer in this video, is it more economical to build a ground-up parts build? I think the answer is it can be, but I don't think that you'd be as happy with the result as if you'd started with a baseline SCX24. Now, if you want to expand your budget just a little bit, come up to the $300 range, then I think it's absolutely worth it to build a ground-up build like this. But guys, let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think about the ground-up build versus the SCX24 baseline builds? I will put the links in the description down below for all the parts that we used on this truck. And as always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so, and I'll see you in the next video.